I want to bring in now defense attorney Misty Marris, who's been here with me in studio listening intently. Misty, you and I have listened to a lot of sentencing hearings over the years. That was something. The anger, the palpable anger from the Gonzalez family, just the utter devastation from Maddie Mogen's father, talking about how she was the only thing good in his entire life. The grandmother of Maddie Mogen talking about the tattoo that she shares. I mean, it's just, it went on and on. And it just the havoc that has been enacted and wreaked on all of these families. You can feel it through the screen. You
can absolutely feel it through the screen, and it's not lost on us watching this how heavy that courtroom is, because even watching it just on television and watching this this proceeding and seeing everybody speak that has been deeply, deeply affected by these heinous crimes, you can feel their sadness. You can really feel it. And some of what we heard today really spoke specifically, and I'll put the Maddie's father, just talking about that loss and how heavy that loss was, even going back and reading the last Father's Day card that he wrote to her. I mean, that she wrote to him. I mean, this was really, really an emotional day.
Even so much that the judge is actually, according to our team in the courtroom, wiping away tears from his eyes at a certain point. The judge on the bench is that overcome with emotion.
Yes, because these family members, they have lost their loved ones in such a horrific and heinous way. And something that I was really taking in as we were listening to these various victim impact statements was just little things about their life, about day-to-day interactions with their roommates, that they like to go to Halloween parties, that they like to binge watch television together, from the families missing out on birthdays and other events that they will never be a part of again. Just the loss of life you're really feeling in just such a horrific way, and feeling the impact of the grim reality of what had happened that night in Idaho.
That was one of the things that struck me as well. Some of the just everyday, sort of the mundane stuff of life that we all just sort of take for granted. When you hear someone describing that and how much they miss the person who is now gone, I think really drives it home for you in a way, because it's all just the things that we go through life and we don't even think about. And then when the person is gone, it's so striking.
Absolutely, and these are all of the special moments that family members are now recounting in front of the court and in front of Bryan Kohberger.
Are there any limits on what somebody can say to him? Because the Gonzalez family, they went off, right?
Yes.
I mean, they really sort of unloaded, and as you can understand why, on him. Are there any limits that the judge would put on anything that the families could say to him?
So there actually are, in the sense of what can be taken into consideration, because remember, we're in a unique situation here because there's a plea deal, right? So he's pled guilty. But in general, a sentencing hearing, part of it is victim impact statements, and those victim impact statements are what the judge can take into consideration when determining a sentence. So prosecutors and defense have agreed upon the sentence, which will be multiple life without parole, a sentence, penalty, but the judge still has to okay it, right? And there's no indication that this would go any other way than what the defense and prosecution have agreed upon. But that being said, only the impact of the victims is what's taken into consideration. Remember, these are not under oath. There's no cross-examination. So in general, a characterization of the defendant or the opinions on the crimes or any thoughts on the penalty, that is not considered by the judge. Now, the judge is allowing them to make these statements very clearly, but ultimately that wouldn't go into the consideration when it comes to penalty.
So almost allowing them free rein to have their due, have their moment, given everything they've gone through. Doesn't want to put any guardrails on them, but in terms of his actual decision legally, he is sort of relatively cabined in terms of what he can consider all
Absolutely, but he's clearly letting the families have their words with Kohberger, and we heard this with the Gonzalez family. I mean, those were just a complete change of tone in the courtroom. Still, you feel the passion, you feel the sadness, but it was really almost goading, in a sense, to Kohberger. To the extent you think you're a criminal mastermind, you're not. You're pathetic. You have a master's degree, you're just dumb. And then on top of it, that also, to the extent you're looking for notoriety, no one's going to remember you. You're just BK. So, and I do think Kaylee's sister, who spoke, and that was one of the most impassioned victim impact statements I think I've ever heard. She asked a series of questions, the burning questions that we all have. And I'm wondering if maybe they were hoping that this would instigate him to make a statement when he has his opportunity at allocution.
Right, and we still don't know exactly what, if anything, he will say. He doesn't have to answer any of those questions. He doesn't have to explain the motive. He doesn't have to explain where the murder weapon is, but it'll be interesting to see what he says. I want to bring in